Grace had always seen herself as the perfect wife and mother. The kind of woman who made everything look effortless, from raising well-behaved children to keeping her husband content, and even winning over her notoriously picky mother-in-law. Grace was, as people said, born to care. She'd wake up earlier than anyone in the house, cook a warm and healthy breakfast, press her husband's shirts, put on a touch of makeup, and head to work with a smile. Daniel, her husband, knew he had lucked out. He was a good-looking guy, popular with women, but it was Grace's calm, nurturing presence that drew him in. She had this warmth in her eyes. Looking into them felt like stepping into the sun on a cold day. They met at work. Grace had come to him with a question, not for herself, but for an elderly neighbor who couldn't shop on her own anymore. That was just who Grace was. Kind to everyone, even strangers. She was the reason Daniel had the courage to start his own business. "You're smart, determined, and I believe in you," she'd said over and over again with a quiet smile that could melt any doubt. He believed her. They took out a loan and built something from the ground up. It wasn't easy. Problems came non-stop and the stress was crushing. But Grace never wavered. "No matter what happens, I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together," she'd say, wrapping her arms around him. Daniel worked harder than ever. He couldn't bear the thought of disappointing the woman who believed in him more than he believed in himself. Grace never let him see her cry. Things were going smoothly, until Grace told Daniel she was pregnant. He didn't take it well. Sure, they had talked about having kids someday, but this felt too soon. Still, he didn't argue. He just went silent and let the days pass. Grace tried to keep the joy alive, but the pregnancy hit her hard. She was exhausted, moody, anxious. The glow everyone talks about never came. "I think it's the hormones," she'd whisper to Daniel late at night. "And I'm just scared something might go wrong." He barely responded. He didn't know what to say, and frankly didn't want to hear it. She was becoming someone else, and he didn't like that. And after the baby came, she didn't go back to normal. Motherhood changed her. And not in a way Daniel could appreciate. "She only talks about the baby," he later complained to his mom. "I get it," she said. "But raising kids is hard work. You're a parent now too, you know." He rolled his eyes. He had started avoiding home more and more. Grace tried everything to bring the spark back. Dates, small surprises, even just warm dinners. But every time Daniel pushed her away. "Why are you on my case?" he snapped one evening. "I'm the one working to support this family. You've got the kids. Let me have some peace when I'm home." His mother watched this drift silently. She loved her son, but even she began to feel sorry for Grace. Still, whenever Grace came to her, desperate for support or understanding, Elaine would cut her off. "Grace, I love you, but Daniel is my son. I won't take sides. I just can't." And then came the moment that shattered Grace's world. It had been a rough day. The daycare called and said little Lily wouldn't stop crying, asking for her mom. Grace picked her up early, dropped both kids off at her parents' for the evening, and rushed home. She wanted to surprise Daniel with his favorite dinner. Maybe, just maybe they could reconnect. But when she walked through the door, she immediately sensed something was off. The door hadn't been locked. Strange. "Daniel, you're home early," she called, her voice light, hopeful. He emerged from the bedroom, suitcase in hand. "Oh good. You're here," she smiled. "I was going to make that roast you love. Maybe we can have dinner, just the two of us." He cut her off with a single cold gesture. "Stop," he said flatly. "Grace, are you blind? Have you seriously not noticed anything?" Her smile faded. "What do you mean?" "I'm leaving. I have someone else." Took a few seconds for the words to land. She leaned against the wall. Her heart dropped. "Daniel, this isn't funny. It's not a joke. I'm divorcing you. This is done. I've been keeping us afloat for 6 years while you played house. The apartment's under my mom's name. The business is in my brother's. You'll get nothing. Your stuff is packed. You need to go." He pushed past her, dragging bags to the door, hers, not his. Then he slammed the door behind her. Grace just stood there, holding her kids' bags, still stunned. Her feet carried her back to her parents' house. They asked questions, she gave no answers. Instead, she went to Elaine, Daniel's mother. But even there, she found no shelter. Grace, don't cry. I get it, you're shocked. But what do you expect from me? Elaine shrugged. The apartment's technically mine. I helped Daniel buy it. He says he fell out of love, it happens. No sympathy. No defense. She left feeling crushed. Until a few days later, a court summons arrived. Daniel had filed for divorce. And that was the last straw. That was the final blow. And it ignited something in Grace. She had given everything to that marriage. Her youth, her energy, her heart. She supported Daniel through every failure, every insecure whim. She raised their children almost entirely on her own while he drifted further and further away. And now he wanted to throw her away like she was nothing. Well, not without consequences. In court, Daniel sat smugly beside his lawyer, convinced Grace wouldn't even try to fight back. But when the judge asked if she had anything to say, she stood up. "Yes, Your Honor," she said calmly. "I'd like to request full physical custody of our 2 children, to reside with their father." Daniel's jaw dropped. "I believe that, financially and logistically, their father is better equipped. He has the home, the income, the resources. I unfortunately do not. I live with my parents, my job is demanding, and I arrive home late. It's not ideal for raising kids. And I want what's best for them." She presented documents, income reports, and a full custody proposal. The courtroom buzzed in disbelief. But Daniel went pale. "What the hell are you doing?" he hissed during a recess, grabbing her arm. Grace didn't flinch. "I'm giving you exactly what you wanted. Freedom. With responsibilities. I don't want to raise them alone." "No. But you made it clear. I was the burden, remember? Well, now they're yours too. Unless you'd like to renegotiate." Daniel blinked. "What do you want?" "I want the apartment. You keep your business. The kids stay with me. That's the deal." He hesitated, but he knew her. She wouldn't back down. The judge agreed with her petition temporarily, and Daniel reluctantly signed over the apartment to Grace. For a brief period, the kids lived with him, just long enough for him to realize how impossible single parenting really was. Within a week, he begged to reverse the custody, and Grace happily obliged. Now she was a single mom with her own place, her own paycheck, her children back, and a future that was finally hers. As for Daniel, she no longer wasted a single tear on a man who never deserved her love in the first place. Of course, Grace had known the plan might backfire. What if Daniel had said yes? What if he'd actually taken the kids to his mother's house and left them there like packages she'd ordered? That would have been even worse. But Grace knew him too well. Daniel loved control. He loved appearances. But parenting, that was never in his nature. He wasn't cruel, just cowardly. The kind of man who only acted when it served his own interests. He tried to hold on briefly. He made a show of being Father of the Year. But within days, he was overwhelmed. The lunches, the crying, the school emails, it was too much. He called Grace in a panic, begging her to take them back. She agreed. But only after the apartment was in her name. Now the children lived with her again. They were safe, happy. Grace stood in her kitchen, watching them play on the rug. The light was soft, warm. She had her own job, her own home, her own space, and her own peace. And Daniel? She never looked back. Some men don't deserve the family they lose.